Good evening, everyone. It must be quite late. How was your day? Or what is your plan for the next day? Welcome to Hannah Klein's Time. Hannah is very grateful to those who have been supporting her. Hannah's podcast and newsletter on Substack are reader-based platforms. Sponsorship and partnership offers for her Substack newsletter are welcome as well. Also, Hannah does extensive research to create her newsletter.
Good evening. This is Hannah Klein. What did you think when you first saw my flyer about my guest for today? Today's guest is Dale Yaeger. He was a professional. Well, he used to work for federal government, and he was a professional profiler. Well, basically, he investigates and recovers based on profiling. And well, he was. I recommend you to get a copy of this book and read um, this book, because this is something you need to protect from. I have to say, a danger that you may face, um, even though you spend normal life in your daily, just normal life. Um, if you listen to profiling, it sounds like a drama, but it is not about drama. It is about analyzing oneself. Ultimately, myself. It's not too much to say, and I actually agree a lot with Dale, but he has more accurate data, and he discusses it. He discusses various topics. However, you may find it very interesting to listen to his opinion, and not just opinion, but what he says is that you need to see the facts, which is really true. You really need to see the facts of what is happening, where it is happening, and who is doing it. If this is something I probably would advise, if the other party is somebody who cannot answer any of these accurately, don't answer them. Okay? That's something I would recommend, because if they cannot introduce themselves, that's going to be a problem. And if they cannot even tell where they are or where they are from, basically their life story properly in a timeline. Well, if I say this, probably, the frauds are gonna make up like whatever. But yeah, you may encounter various kinds of frauds if you have a social media account nowadays, or Line in case of Japan. So if there is somebody who talks to you nicely, it doesn't mean that a person is nice. That's always something that I have known throughout my life. Um, yeah, it's very obscure in a sense how to call a person when you meet a person for the first time. And you have to be careful when somebody says at a very early stage, "Oh, you're beautiful," like the flowering words, any of the uh, the words that are not supposed to be coming out, you have to be careful. That is very true. And it's the first step of hooking a person. And um yeah, and when? That's another thing. Okay. If you find any of these information, you just remember it clearly. If you cannot, I better recommend you write down. I I'm just very good at listening and remembering at the same time. So, I mean, those who probably have some kind of impairment in the memory system, as Theo discusses, that's going to be really hard. So, I think I recommend everyone to be really, really cautioned. And you have to be aware. And that's one important step towards, I think, living, well, just without danger. But still, well, I don't know about the statistics really at this point, how much you can get away from the fraudulent acts. However, you are still able to avoid getting involved. But at the same time, it's important for you to probably remind yourself all the time about this. If you forget this, that's going to be another threat. And one one thing, one important thing is to know yourself, who you are, what you're like. What you're like is another part. And um if the person cannot describe, okay, your personal character in a manner that many of your friends tell, it's going to be a real crisis, okay? Crisis level danger, okay? Just get away. Now, I mean, I'm sorry, but there are so many kinds of dangers, and those dangers have been developing every day. And that's one of the reasons why I invited Dale on this podcast. And you will get to hear a lot of interesting stories from him. He is a very nice person. So, well, he used to work for the federal government, and he's a professional criminal profiler. Of course, he understands. And he talks about what instincts are as well. It's not something chemical, okay? There's not something like that, really. Yeah, I do actually. Um, yes, I totally agree with that. Well, I probably wasn't very good in explaining what it was about, but I think that what he said is very true. But anyway, I hope you get cautioned, and at the same time, you learn from Dale's discussions. And I recommend you to get his book. His book, the name of his book, I will write this down on the description. But this is Profiling Your Life. The subtitle is How to Use Criminal Profiling to Protect Yourself and Your Family from Dangerous People. Anyway, I hope that you really seriously listen to this. Good morning
Good
there.
morning. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
Very good, Hannah. Thank you for having me.
Well, it's my pleasure, having you. I feel very grateful that I could invite you on my podcast.
Well, glad to be here.
Really, honestly.
I am.
Um,
I like to talk about this subject because it actually helps people. And
yeah, I really, really think so. Because, before, before you start discussion, I would like to let you know that there are so many fraudulent cases caused by
Mhm.
the Chinese in Japan. And I don't know some other people from other nations as well, but mainly from China. So it is unimaginably terrible. So I think that you're going to help a lot of people.
All right, hold on. We're having a problem with my camera here. I'm so
Okay.
sorry. Okay. All right, you're going to have to edit that out. It was
Oh,
zooming. Did you see it
well,
zooming?
actually, it's going to be only sound only, so no, don't worry.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, the thing is, fraud is common across all countries.
Mm.
Um, Most of what we see in our work at SERAPH each day is groups out of the Middle East, uh,
Oh.
Eastern Europe, and China. Um, and the thing is that nobody in those countries care. Um, it's um, it's just because, well, some of it is corruption. They're paying off government officials, but
Mm.
a lot of it is also just they just don't care. They're government agencies are more concerned about other things, and they really don't interact with criminal elements. Sometimes they're scared about getting killed as politicians or as political types, but a lot of people are really damaged by that. It's just very sad. We have people in romance scams that we investigate and help them to recover their money. We have one right now that's 2.1 million.
Wow.
Most on average, they've given about 200,000 for Bitcoin investments. It's always an investment scam. Most of it we've seen in the last year comes out of contact through Facebook
Really?
because oh yeah, Facebook is primarily used by older people,
Oh,
middle-aged and older people.
yeah.
So the scammers know where to go hunting for victims.
Oh,
Um,
I see.
but most of it is Facebook. And it's amazing to me because, well, I blame their families and their
Mhm.
friends for not checking in
Helping.
on them
Oh.
and managing them.
Mhm.
By the time the family finds out about it, it's too late. They've lost their whole life savings. Um,
My goodness.
and then we have to get in there and get involved, and then we have to bully.
So is
Uh,
it like taking money like not just once, but many times?
oh, these are groups of people, and then they
Oh,
use cutouts. So they'll take a guy. These are romance scams. So they'll
oh,
hey, I'm John, and I saw your profile on Facebook, and you have a
mm,
nice face, and they start it like that. The problem is John may be an American, may be a Canadian, but he's a
mm,
cutout. So he's getting paid a piece of the action for whatever they take. These teams, these groups of
mhm.
fraudsters. A lot of this is being run out of Iceland. They have whole server farms up in Iceland. And the
Really?
Icelandic, oh, yes. And the Icelandic government, if you know anything about them, they're having some financial issues over the
Mhm,
last couple of years. And so they allow this to happen where
mhm.
you've got these server farms that are just hacking all day long, 24 hours a day. It's unreal.
Oh,
And the thing is that again, people who should be taking care of monitoring this just don't care. They
oh.
just don't care.
I I have known of my friend's relative, you know,
Hmm.
who was almost going to give like donate $1,000. And
Well, that
I
most of the
think
time it's
somebody
not.
stopped. Yeah,
Well,
somebody stopped.
most of the time it's not like, oh, I need money. That
Mhm,
we run into that from time to time.
mhm,
Um, but can you loan me $5,000? But most of the time it's an investment. Hey, I'm getting involved in this investment, and you can make like 20%,
oh,
or well, it's even more than that. And why don't you invest with me? And people send money to people that they've only seen on a video call. And I always ask the same thing because I'm the point of contact for the company, but I'll say, did this person have an accent? Yeah. So John has an accent. Yeah, I couldn't make it out. Okay. Well, then he's not John. And what did the background look like? Oh, it didn't look American. Okay. Yeah.
oh, is
And
it
they
a video
still,
call?
oh, they'll do video
Oh
calls.
my goodness.
Oh yeah, they'll have people that are
Hey,
playing the cutout or the actor. Yeah.
the
Oh yeah, it's very
fraudsters
common.
have been developing, right?
But the thing, here's the thing. These are real people being
Mhm,
scammed. But here's the problem. I've interviewed in my career, 30-year career, a lot of con artists. And the con artists have a saying, you cannot con an honest man.
mhm,
So people say, well, you're being cruel. No, I'm not being cruel. When you're so greedy that you're willing to blindly send a couple $100,000 to somebody overseas,
mhm,
that's not mental illness, that's greed. Because an awful lot of old people don't get sucked into that.
mhm,
Okay. They say, no, this is a scam. So greed is what governs this,
mhm,
pure and simple. And at the same time, again, like I said before, I get upset at the friends and family members who I end up talking to. Well, we knew that she was talking to this guy overseas, and we just didn't want to interfere with her personal life. Yeah, well, interfere. She's your mother. She's your sister.
mhm.
You have to manage.
Why do they think that, it's okay to leave them alone?
There are certain percentage of families in the
Mhm.
world who are very dysfunctional.
Oh.
They're a mess. They're a train wreck. We half of our day at SERAPH is probate and estate fraud. We love when siblings fight with each other when daddy dies or mommy dies.
Mhm,
We love that because that's our money. I'm saying that facetiously. The bottom line is that if you have a dysfunctional family
mhm.
and you're not communicating with your adult children and they don't like you, so by the time they intervene, you've lost all your money.
Oh.
So, if you're not going to heal your relationship with your adult children or vice versa, most of the time it's a parent who just, well, I don't really get along with my daughter or I don't get along with my son. Well, then no one's there to watch you. No one's there to protect you. And
Mm,
nobody wants to talk about this part of the scamming, this personal part. But, I'm a forensic profiler. I look at people's behavior, I look at their actions, and it's just unreal. If you're going to have a dysfunctional family, at some point down the road, that's going to come back to bite you in the rear end
oh.
because no one's going to take care of you when you're old. And then you have some, and in all of the probate and estate fraud cases we work on, there's always one sibling who's for lack of a better term, a loser. They're in their 40s, 50s. They can't get their act together. Drug and alcohol problems,
Mm,
gambling, and they're stealing from the parent who's elderly. And then they end up getting some corrupt attorney to file paperwork to try to control the finances of the parent, which they generally get to do.
Mm.
And then the siblings are all upset, and then we have to come in at great expense to fix this and prevent this. So there's a whole lot going on behind the scenes in fraud. It's not just a simple, I manipulated this person from far, far away in a country far, far away. They were set up to be defrauded. And also, it's not, it's not about, these are educated people in most cases. These are professional people. I'd say 80% of our clients are college educated professional females.
Oh.
So it's not like they're not savvy.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, didn't this seem odd to you? And they go, yeah, didn't seem right. I go, a 60% return on your investment?
Mm.
I said, you know, I think you could do that if you're selling cocaine but I said, you're not going to get that kind of return from Bitcoin.
Mm.
And I said, and I always say to them, I go, but you knew, why did you? Well, I kind of got emotionally involved with this person. And the thing that really facilitates this fraud are these tablets, these little laptop tablets that
Yes.
that older people are on those things all day long. And they got nothing to do because they're retired. And there's the
Really?
old saying, oh yeah, and they're on there playing around on social media because they're bored. And what happens
Oh.
is that people take advantage of that. And the thing is that there's an old saying, uh, 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 a when you have a distracted mind, when your mind is distracted, or when your mind is uh, interrupted by people that can manipulate you, then you're more likely to be manipulated. And that's something we talk about in forensic psychology, is this: you're distracted. You got too many things going on, too much popping around.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the sad part. And people end up losing everything, or most of it. You
That's
know,
really scary.
it
That's
is
really,
scary.
really scary.
It is scary. And we're able to help them recover, um, with putting an evidence package together and a plan of action, get the right agencies involved, including foreign governments. We're
Oh.
able to, yeah, we're able to help them recover money, but it takes a long time. At most, they'll get back is maybe 30%. And I tell them that up front. I go, if everything works out 30%, why not all of it? I go, because they have to prosecute these people and they have to threaten them with
Oh,
a
okay.
long jail time.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the negotiation. You have to make your victim whole again. So you have to come up with some money to pay back your victim, and we'll reduce your sentence.
Mm-hmm.
When people are facing tall time, all of a sudden, a miracle occurs and money shows up. But you're never going to get it all back. And we've had some weird ones. I'm telling you, some weird ones. We had a group of guys, very wealthy guys in Texas. This is a long time ago, and they invested in a oil drilling operation off
Mm.
the west coast of Africa.
You know what?
And
Exactly.
yeah,
Yeah.
well, and and they said, we think we're getting ripped off. I
Mm.
go, okay. I mean, there's legitimate
Mm.
operations going on in West Africa, or in Africa,
Mm.
but we ended up doing several things to find out what was going on. And one of the things we found out was that the country that was sending all these oil tankers,
Mm.
they were sitting in port. They had never been out to the oil drilling rigs. So there was no way to fill them up.
Mm-hmm.
And so they weren't going anywhere, and they had been sitting there for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
We also we took action and sent someone out there to this oil rig, which
Mm.
wasn't much of an oil rig, to drop in with the help of that government to do an on-site audit Well, everybody freaked out when that happened. It turned out that these guys ended up getting 40% of their money back. It was a significant amount.
Oh, that's
And
pretty
they
good.
well
Yeah.
they yeah, well they complained. They said, "What are you complaining about?" And they go, "Well, that government should have given us all of our money back." I said, "You guys didn't do your due diligence. And then we had to come in and fix this mess for you. You're lucky you got out with 40%."
So
And,
that
you
was
know,
fraud, actual fraud that
oh yeah.
were from Africa.
Well, no, the guys that were involved were actually Americans, but
Okay.
but the country that,
Mhm.
I'll mention the country. It was Liberia, previous
Oh,
president
okay.
Liberia. And, she was a great lady. And she, uh, she took this very seriously and took action and helped us. But no, the guys were foreigners using their ports. And when that was found out, um, the government officials were very fast in acting and helping us. So, but that's
Oh,
investments, people doing investments. I see it all the time too. I'm going to invest in this guy's company. Okay. So, how do you know if it's legitimate or not? Well, I've looked at the financials. I said, "Are you a forensic accountant?" Well, no, but I know things. Okay. How did it work out? Oh, I got rolled. Guy lied. Yeah. When people are selling a business, they lie about the money. And you have to have a forensic accountant go in, which most of the time they'll say no to.
mm.
You also have to do your due diligence on that person. I teach due diligence for accountants and attorneys for 20 years.
Oh,
So I know what I'm talking about. You have to do and due diligence is cheap compared to investigating after the fact.
mm.
But a lot of people are arrogant about it. And that's that one question you had sent me about profiling.
Mm.
Well, you have to know what you're getting into. Who is the person that you're going to invest in,
Yes, yes. Really,
right?
really. Yeah.
Well, one of the things we do is we look at their personal life.
Hmm.
So, one of the things we look for is bad behavior, um, multiple relationships, use of stripping, pornography, adultery. And the reason why is because if you're a depraved individual, I don't want to sound like a moralist here, uh, you're not going to be ethical in your business practices. And so that's something we look at when we investigate the principles involved in an investment for a client or buying a company. Because if it's being led by people that are depraved, and that's depravity, then you know what? You're not a good person. So I guarantee you we're going to find dirt, and we always do.
Oh,
20,000 cases, we always find it. So there is a correlation between the two, and lying, adultery is lying. So
hmm.
if you lie about in one way, you're going to lie about everything. Like in my book, Profiling Your Life, I talk about there's no such thing as a white lie. There's lying and there's telling the
That's
truth.
that may be.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, well, what's a white lie? What does that mean? You still lied. Well, it's not a big lie. Oh, okay. Are we doing a Seinfeld episode now?
Mm.
It's lying. You lied. You deceived. And ultimately, if you're a deceptive person who can justify lying, then you're not a good person. You know, you lie and feel bad about it. That's different.
Mm.
But this is part of the science of profiling. It is not about intuition. It's not about guessing. It's a science.
Mm.
Excuse me. And it was well developed by people in the early part of the 20th century for the OSS, which later became the CIA.
Oh.
And these were very, very smart people.
Mm.
And they were on the ground. They understood bad behavior. And ultimately, when people hear about profiling, they go, "Oh, these guys, they guess at stuff." Never guessed in my life. We use scientific process to understand people's behaviors. and it's accurate. It's very accurate.
Mm,
And everybody in law enforcement around the world uses it in some form or another. Like we're very good at teaching that.
mm.
The Brits are really good at it too. Um, and the thing is that it works. It prevents crime. And I think, you know,
I
too
think
many.
that's very important, really, what
Hmm.
you
Hmm.
do. Like, however, I really wasn't sure, if it was from intuition, as you said, or
No, no,
it was a science.
it
And
is a science.
that was the part that, I thought that, it was very interesting about your book, really.
Yeah, well, the history of profiling, you read
Yeah.
that chapter.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's a science. It was developed by psychiatrists,
Mm,
um, and it's all based on Freudian models, and it works very well.
mm,
And what's sad is you have people that I train
mm,
over many decades who
mm,
were trained in a modified neo profiling nonsense, which did not is not based on the Freudian models, and they stink. They're horrible at it,
mm,
and a lot of them are military intelligence officers. And
mm.
I have to go in there and I have to spend the first hour to 2 hours just debunking all of this Carl Rogers Maslow stuff that they were trained in. And the way I do it is I ask them questions, lots of questions, and they don't have answers to the questions, and it drives them nuts. And I go, well, you should be able to answer these questions. And people say, well, Freud's been dismissed by whom? By people that are modern psychologists, that modern psychology stuff. Uh, that's like uh, that's like the Nazis complaining about you complaining about the Nazis. It makes no sense. I mean, ultimately, the Freudian model, whether you like Freud or not, it doesn't matter. Sigmund Freud and his people, the men and women that were part of his team, he's very good at understanding lying,
Mhm.
deception, and criminal behavior. Now, about outside of that, that's up to you, you know, who you're going to believe. But when it comes to those three things, there's
Mhm.
nothing better. And if you look at the history of profiling, these are extremely successful people, you'll see that it was all Freudian psychiatrists, psychologists, because that model works beautifully for preventing crime or solving crime. And, I think too many people watch dumb TV shows like Criminal Minds, which is
Oh,
horrible.
yeah.
Well, those of us we all know each other in the US and Canada
Yeah.
that do this.
Hmm.
And one of the things when we talk about it at conferences, we say nobody is that depressed. They all seem angry and sad. Well, we're not. We're not angry and sad all the time. You couldn't do what we do if you were always in a mood. I've been to Disney World 15 times. I'm a happy guy. So this idea that we're so intense all the time, there's no way. I mean, at the Behavioral Sciences Unit, the FBI Academy, most agents, when they're in that division, only last about 7 months. They can't take it after that.
Oh.
Um, you have to have an ability to be trained to compartmentalize things. I've never had a nightmare in my whole life. Um, Never had a nightmare about any of the cases I ever worked on. I've seen horrible things. I mean, most of my cases are sex crimes that I've
Mhm.
worked on, and I've never had a nightmare about them. So because I call them the old men that trained us, they taught us how to manage our minds, how to have a healthy life. And that was the most valuable thing that I think they taught us. I mean, they taught us a lot, but teaching us how to manage our brains, uh, I use that all the time, what they taught us, to
Mhm.
be to be able to compartmentalize and live like a normal person and be
Mhm.
happy and be a husband, a father, a grandfather,
That's true.
yeah.
A lot of people might assume that, before listening to you, that you have maybe gone through a lot, then you are into that crime and, you you have struggles, in your mind and so forth,
No,
right?
I mean, this year, I will tell you this, last year,
Mhm.
2025, I told my, um, my overseers, for lack of a better term, I told them no more sex crime cases and no more murder cases because the ones they send me on are child murders and the sex crime cases, I just can't do them anymore. Now, I still do counterterrorism work, but I said no, I'm done. And they said, well, that's fine because most guys couldn't handle it as long as you have, several decades. But I knew when I was done. The old men that trained us said there will come a time when you know when you're finished and you need to say, that's it, I'm done.
Oh.
And well, the problem with the sex crimes is most of the stuff that's been sent to me is, um, Muslim men sexually assaulting 9 and 10 year
Oh,
olds.
oh, really?
And I'm like, I can't do it anymore. I just can't. Um, and like, and the issue with the child murders, I
Mhm.
haven't done one in a while, but yeah, it gets hard, especially as a grandfather. But ultimately, you know when you're done, you know when you're finished.
Mhm.
But terrorism doesn't bother me. I I, I still I still like doing that, and also doing the due diligence. I
Mhm.
love because I have a great team of people. They're all military intel guys, for federal law enforcement special agents that really have unique skills, and we're good at what we do. And but back to the book, profiling your life. You read
Mhm.
the forward on it.
Yeah.
I had to write this. I had to write this book because I saw too many people becoming victims of crime. And there was no need for it. And the reason why is because they weren't properly trained. And the
Mhm.
book it teaches you how to do it. One of the things I talk about in the book is intuition, how horrible intuition is. And people say, well, I have very good intuition. Oh, really? And then you start talking to them. Well, they're remembering all the good stuff, all the wins, but none of the losses. I remember talking to a woman who came up to me and she
Mhm.
said she was complaining about profiling. I was giving a lecture at a university. And I said, can I
Yeah,
ask you
she
a
was
question? She
young.
goes, ask. No, she was probably in her 40s.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she was an older woman. And I said, can I ask you a question? You can ask me anything you want. I said,
Mhm.
okay. How many times you been married? She goes, three. I go, well, we know 3 times your intuition wasn't very good. And then she walked away and everybody around me laughed. People don't realize that trained intuition is different than intuition. Intuition is a chemical aspect of your brain. And so you have a lack of sleep. Your intuition is messed up. Like what do they call being drunk or high legally? It says that your judgment was impaired. So alcohol and drugs can impair your judgment. And that includes antidepressants. So your intuition can be affected by all sorts of things. Now, you talk to an ER nurse, an
Mhm.
ER doctor,
Yeah.
a cop, anybody who's done anything at a professional level on the ground with real people for 10 years, they know exactly what they're looking at. I looked at that, that is wrong. That doesn't make sense. It's like I love watching Pawn Stars, the TV show, and people bring in some kind of historical item to sell.
Mhm.
And the experts come in and say, that's fake. Oh, no, no. My grandfather got this off of a Nazi soldier in World War II. No, this was made in the 50s, you know? And then they get angry and because, oh, grandpa wouldn't lie to me. Oh, okay. The thing is that experts can look at something generally and say, that's not right. That's wrong. So when I was a kid in
Mhm.
my teens, I collected historical stuff. I was a history
Mhm.
guy. And I got so good at it that at gun shows, my father and I go to gun shows, and the
Mhm.
older collectors would pay me like 20 bucks. Hey, kid, go find me a Mauser rifle. I need this kind. And I'd walk around and find the table that had the Mauser rifle, come back to the guy, and he'd give me a bonus for finding that for him
Wow.
because I knew I was good at that. I knew what it should look like, in fact, in one of those gun shows, I think it was 14, and I saw Hitler's paintings. They were for sale at the time. He wasn't a very good artist, by the way. But the thing is that he was an artist before he was the dictator of Germany, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
He failed because he couldn't go to art school because he stunk. I mean, he was a bad painter. But anyway, looked like paint by numbers. So ultimately, I'm still good at that
Mm.
with antique firearms and swords and things. I can look at one and go, that's not right.
Wow.
That I can say that's not right. And I'm not going to pan my camera around, but I'm surrounded by antique firearms and
Yes,
and swords.
yeah.
Yeah. So I know what I'm talking about when it comes to that. I'm not good at other things, but I'm good at that. But the thing is in intuition, if you're not willing to train it and develop it, then you're going to put your family at risk because you're going to say, "Oh, that's a good guy. She seems like a good person." Really?
Mm.
That's how you want to live your
Like
life when it
what,
comes to your
right?
ch What's that?
Like exactly what exactly makes you
Oh
think,
yeah.
and
Well, I mean,
what
yeah, but
factors?
people yeah, they use their gut. And how many times have people, I talked about it in the book about
Uh-huh.
dating. People will date someone and they say, "Oh, the person was such a narcissist." I always love that. I have these conversations with people all
Mhm.
day long, and they go, "Yeah, he's a narcissist," and I don't want to get into a long discussion with them. We're all narcissists,
Oh.
and people don't want to hear that. They go, "Well, no, that's a specific type of selfishness." No, we're biologically prone to self-centeredness, which is narcissism. Now, some people are criminal narcissists,
Mhm.
but we're all narcissists. Look
Oh.
at a newborn baby, uh, laying there in the bassinet at the hospital. They're crying when they want to eat. They cry when they want to be held. They cry when they want to
Yeah.
get change. I mean, they're little 8-pound brats. I'm just joking, but you know what I'm saying. And then toddlers, I talk about this in Profiling Your Life. Toddlers are maniacs. I mean, and 3-year-olds, 3 and 4-year-olds, if you gave them a weapon, they would kill each other.
Yeah.
And it's all this, with children, with small children, it's all mine, mine, mine. This is my room, my toy.
Uh-huh.
And even with their siblings who they live with, they fight over self-centeredness.
Mhm.
That's just biological, but it's also learned. But this idea that narcissism is somehow a special category. Well, that's pop psychology. That's that modern psychology nonsense. You're okay, I'm okay. Nobody's okay. Now, does that mean we're all bad people? No, of course not.
Mm.
Freud was asked one time, are people basically bad? And he thought for a minute and he said, no, they're conflicted. What a great answer.
Oh.
Some days you're very kind and giving, and other days you're a horrible person. When you run a red light
Mhm.
and you lie and say, "Oh, it's yellow," that's lying, and you could have killed somebody. When you speed, that's breaking the law.
Mhm.
And your excuse is, "Well, I've got a place to be. I've got to get there. I'm in a hurry."
Yeah.
Oh, okay, all right. And people say, "Well, you can't compare that to murder and all that." And I go, "Sure, I can." Where do you think the fundamentals of bad behavior and criminal behavior, they're all fundamental to that behavior. The reason why you and I, Hannah, have the lives that we have is because we control our innate selfishness.
Mhm.
Okay. And I talk about that in the book. We control our innate selfishness.
Yes, yes, you do.
Okay. I assume you drive over there.
Mhm.
Yes. Drive a car.
Yeah.
Well, do you ever have someone almost kill you or cut you off and you thought to yourself, if I had missiles on the front of my car, I'd blow them off the highway. Now, you knew you wouldn't really do that, but you're expressing your anger. But everybody has a dark side. Everybody, just like the moon. And if you are honest about your self-centeredness and your dark side, you're going to be a much better person. It's the
Oh.
people I meet that say, "Oh, no, Dale, you don't understand. I've reached a personal perfection.
Mm.
I've reached nirvana here on earth." Oh, okay, good for you. And they're horrible people because they're delusional. The best thing to say is, you know, I am a person who works hard every hour of every day at being good
Mm-hmm.
and being kind and being loving. That's honesty. And I talk about it in the book about how parents should stop lying and say, "Oh, I did the best I could." Do you remember that line?
Mm-hmm.
Don't lie. You didn't do the best you could. Just say, "I wasn't a very good parent sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
and I apologize for that." And then shut your trap. If you say that to your kids as teenagers, as adults, I've done it. Let me tell you, that's healing for a family to
Oh.
admit that. But don't sit there and say, "I did the best I could." Well, that's nonsense. You just say,
You know,
I
you
I
know what?
made mistakes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Actually, I am, I am also worried about children, primary school children,
Yeah.
um, not recognizing the situation well. And, happening around um well, I don't blame them if they cannot name, a lot of things. But they are often very not handling themselves very well, you know.
Well,
And
children,
yeah, like
but
these
children,
days especially.
yeah, but children need to be managed.
Yeah.
Adults have to, I mean, what's the thing that kills, when you look at the stats, for
Mhm.
example, in the United States, and this is true in Canada, by the way. So, which kills more children, guns in the home or a swimming pool?
Oh, yeah.
A swimming pool. If you have a
Oh,
swimming pool at your house, your child is 40 times more likely to
oh
die
my
than if
goodness.
there's guns in the home.
Oh,
Now, do you see anybody concerned about their swimming pool? That's a fact. That's a fact, is swimming pools. You should see how many celebrities have lost a child to a swimming pool in their house.
I didn't. I do not know.
Yeah, it's a lot. William Shatner. And the thing is that people are so concerned about a gun in the home. It's the swimming pool that's more dangerous, much more
Oh.
dangerous. But see, this is where people lack intelligence.
Mhm.
Also, Yale University did a study, I think it was Yale or Harvard, many years ago, that found that children really don't develop the part of their brain that understands consequences till they're about 22 or 23.
A 22 or
Oh yeah,
23.
yeah, somewhere
Oh,
around there. Now, having you know that you have to manage children.
yeah.
You have to manage them. They don't understand. I should have been dead before I was 18. I should have been dead multiple times because of the stupid things I did. Some of that was drag racing, but on country roads in the dark. But the thing is that, hey, children have to be managed. At the same time, you can't coddle them or
Mhm.
you'll screw them up. And we see a lot of 20 and 30-year-olds living with mommy because of the coddling and the codependency. These are adults that will never leave. They'll stay there for the rest of their lives and they become neurotic and they have all sorts of issues. You see it all the time. So, but yeah, as far as primary school children are concerned, a lot of that is and I was a school teacher, I did my student teaching in 1980. But the thing is that in most educational environments, children
Mhm.
are not learning social skills. They're learning a lot of,
Yeah, that's what I think.
yeah, yeah, they're
And-
not learning a lot of social skills. Like the Boy Scouts, the Girl Scouts used to teach skills, how to start a fire if you're lost in the woods. They don't do that anymore. It's a mess. Both organizations are a nightmare. And you have kids that do not know how to like manage money. Very few schools teach money management, and that has to start at a young age. Um, so it's also educational failure, but it's also parental failure uh, because of, you know, well, do I need
See,
to get into?
why do I say is that this leads, like, for example, children developing at, I'm sorry to say this, but um not given enough information about what is happening to them or their circumstance. Um, what I see, for example, is that at age 18, for example, they
Yeah,
start to have mental issues sometimes. But, they start to have some struggles all the time. And I do understand that they do have struggles around the age that, around that age. But I tend to see that there are people who have problems,
yeah,
because
but they
of the
started, but
choices.
Hannah, that all started much younger. For
Okay.
example, um, pornography use, online pornography use by girls is very
Oh,
high, very high.
no.
Girls as young as 9 and 10 are watching online pornography. And
What?
it's a very common, very common. It's not just boys, it's girls too. And people say, "Oh, come on, Dale, pornography's really? Pornography's not bad? Are you high? Are you insane?"
Mm,
First of all, you can see all paraphilias and fetishes now for free online. There are 300 odd paraphilias and fetishes.
mm,
Now, some of them are okay for adults.
mhm,
When you're looking at them at 9, 10, 11, 12 years old and you think that that's normal, and then you have a school that's encouraging this information, fetishes and
oh,
paraphilias in sex ed class,
oh,
well, now you've got the dynamite, the TNT.
mhm,
Now, mommy can't keep a relationship together.
mhm,
Daddy is emotionally detached. They're both horrible parents. Now
mhm,
you add to that this online stuff. This is starting at a very early age. And then you're going to self-medicate with weed or alcohol,
mhm,
mostly weed. Well, we now know that the weed that is being produced now is so potent that we have an epidemic of 20 something year olds who are becoming schizophrenic.
mhm,
Schizophrenia comes in the 20s. Now, a lot of people are prone to it, but they can live their whole life and it never comes out. But the weed is causing it to come out.
mhm,
And so it's a combination of everything. Like here's a controversial issue, and boy, I'm going to be walking on eggshells with this is teen suicide.
mhm,
So I stopped taking calls like this and requests from moms and dads who had a child that committed suicide. And they call me or contact me and say, I want you to explain to me why. And I stopped doing it because what I'm going to tell them is not going to make them happy. Okay. Most of them don't get angry. They're just even sadder. Bullying at school does not cause a child to go and kill themselves. That's complete and utter nonsense. Suicide, um, you know, uh, killing yourself, that starts at a younger age. That's been building for a while. Now, the
oh,
bullying
really?
could be
Oh,
what? Oh
that's
yeah, and the
interesting.
bullying uh, could be the straw that breaks the camel's back.
Mhm,
Could be the impetus to oh, but it's not the cause.
Mm-hmm.
The cause goes back to what's been going on in that child's life. And by the way, as I stated in Profiling Your Life,
Mm-hmm.
bad parenting and dysfunction doesn't care how much money you make. You can have a wealthy family, you can have a middle class family, you can have a poor family, and they can all be dysfunctional.
Oh.
It's not a respecter of money or wealth.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is that I remember I moved in the 80s after college.
Mm-hmm.
First time I went to the main line outside of Philadelphia. It's one of the wealthiest areas in the United States. And I was working at the YMCA at the time. I was young. I was in my 20s. And there were all these kids around, like 11, 10, 11, 12 years old at the Y in the summertime. I said, where are the parents? And they go, oh, you don't know. The parents go off to Europe on vacation and they leave the kids here with a credit card
Oh,
and
okay.
some money,
Okay.
and then the maid checks in occasionally on them. I go, why doesn't CPS arrest the parents? And they just laughed it off. Well, that's just the way it's done. So, mommy is on food stamps and she goes to a bar and leaves the kids at home, young kids at home, so she can go have a good time. How is that different than the wealthy parents that leave their kid home for 2 weeks while they go to Europe at 11 years old? It's the same abuse, the same irresponsibility.
Mm-hmm.
So that's part of the problem. And when you go back to the suicide issue, well, when you come to a realization as a kid that nobody cares about you, they say they do, but they really don't, and you have nothing to live for, and to get to that desperate situation, even as an adult, where you say, I'd rather be dead than alive. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have teenagers that make these suicide pacts with each other. I'll kill you, you kill me. And I mean, people, your responsibility as an adult,
Mm-hmm.
wherever you live, is so great. First is that you have to, number one, as a parent, three things: protect your children from harm.
Exactly.
Number two, you need to emotionally love them. Don't say you love them, hug them, tell them I love you. Okay. Number three is to educate them. Not send them off to school and say, you teach my kid. You have to educate them, teach them. So if you do those three things, I promise you your kid's going to end up okay.
Mm-hmm.
I guarantee it. And you can fail from time to time of those three things, but as long as you're trying in those three areas, your kid's going to notice as they get older. Because kids figure things out. They're not dumb. They know what was going on. I talk in the book about sexualizing the home with adultery and other things.
Mm-hmm.
Kids know. Whether they know specifics, they know. Yeah. Like one of the things that we're very good at in American law enforcement is teaching the psychology and the profiling of sex offenders who are kids and teenagers. And we teach that around the world. We're very good at it. I have the book, I have actually the workbook right here on my shelf. And one of the key things, if you want a child that's going to be a sex predator, is multiple moves. Think about that, multiple moves. What does that create in the child? Insecurity. Multiple partners of a parent. Single parent home. And who, over the last 15 years in the United States of Canada, is the fastest growing group of teen sex offenders? You read this in the book. Females, girls, and they first offend when they're babysitting, and they normally with a girl, a child that's a female.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a happy book. It has a happy ending, but it's not a happy, because one of the problems with, these books about reading people and profiling, they don't take you into the deep dive. They don't say,
I understand now why you say it's not just about crime drama
oh,
or something.
that book is a mirror, and you have to face some facts, because in some of those chapters, many of those chapters, I put questions. I go, here, ask the difficult questions of yourself. Answer them to your own satisfaction. Those questions are not comfortable. And once you learn, it's, in the first four chapters, basically, then you start learning, once you get facts, then you can start learning how to improve your profiling skills, your people reading skills, whatever you want to call it. I don't care, but you gotta get facts first. And as you know, there's 125 endnotes in that book. I back up everything. This isn't Dale gives his opinion. I give you facts, research, empirical data. And a lot of it, people say, they'll email me and say, I didn't know this. I didn't know this stuff. And I go, well, now you do. And I tell you the reason why this information's not out there, because people cover it up for various reasons. A lot of times it's NGOs and nonprofits that want to raise money. Well, you can't raise money if you don't have a boogeyman. So, like in the book, I talk about the other rape, prison rape of males.
Yeah.
Remember that part?
Mm-hmm.
It's huge. If you added in the rape of males in prisons, state and federal prisons, county lockup, then guess what? Females are not the biggest victim of rape anymore. How does that help you if you're an NGO or a nonprofit and you're a woman-based? Yeah, you're not going to raise money if it's males. But, and I talk about how people's attitude is, well, Dale, you don't count those. They get what they deserve. Oh, okay. So the Constitution is suspended when you're in prison? Boy, you didn't pay attention in civics class, did you? No, no, you don't get to do what you want in prison. So that's the problem, is you have parents making decisions with a lack of knowledge, or they bring their political, social ideology into this. And man, I'll tell you what, I mean, I'm not conservative or liberal. I call myself a radical moderate, like Ben Franklin did. But the thing is that it's just parents, they want to indoctrinate their children. Well, at some point, that kid is either going to secure themselves to your indoctrination, or in most cases, they're going to rebel. And I've seen it many times where you have a parent that's extremely liberal, and then their kid ends up being a conservative and a Protestant minister. And they go, how did that happen, Dale? I go, because they realized that what you were telling them was a bunch of hooey. Then you got the other kid who's rebellious, and the family is very conservative and kind of oppressively conservative, and that kid ends up being some very extreme liberal type, especially when they go to college, and then that usually goes away. It's like veganism. Vegans never last very long. It's exhausting. So at some point, the extremely liberal extremists or the extremely conservatives, once they get to adulthood, when I say adulthood, 30s, 40s, that starts to mellow out, because they're like, who has the energy? Who has the time to complain about all this stuff? But, the one concern I have in society, and we just saw the data today on China. China has the lowest birth rate now it's ever had. Most countries have a very low birth rate, including Japan.
Yes, right.
Well, first of all, low birth rate affects your economy. It affects the economy because there's no one to replace the dying people. And all the elderly people have services that have to be paid for by taxes. So this low birth rate is a bad thing. And ultimately, this issue of children becomes a very important issue when it comes to the profiling issue, because you have to protect these children. But at the same time, you have to teach them as they get old enough. Here's how the world works. Now, you don't have to make them cynical. And I talk about this in the book. I don't want you to go outside and look around and go, pervert, weirdo, murderer. I said, that's no way to live, right? But I said, you'll actually, by reading the book and applying what I teach you in those 10 chapters, you'll actually be more relaxed. You won't be as paranoid, because now you know what to look for, what you should understand, and who your kids should play with, you know? And I talk in the book about, profiling is all the myths about profiling. Remember that? And I think it's the shortest chapter in the book. And I talk about, well, profiling is judgmental. Really?
Mhm.
It's not. You make judgment calls every day. I
Mhm.
mean, the most negative thing that human beings do is people watching. They sit there on a chair, a bench at a party or a
Mhm.
chair, and they look at people walking by, and in your head you're going, oh, "That's a weirdo. Look at this guy. How did these two get together?" None of that. People watching is not positive. Think about it. There's nothing positive about people watching. The horrible things you say out loud or in your head is just, oh, she has a nice hat. Yeah. And then there's 10 negative comments, you know, because your brain is always assessing, but is it assessing trained or untrained? And when your kids are going to go be babysat by someone, or they're going to go hang out with someone at a play date, boy, you better know how to really truly read people. Not, oh, she seems like a good person. And
Yeah,
it's not that
yeah,
hard to figure out.
it's
Yeah.
really, yeah, it's true that you basically, you say it's science, right? I
Hmm.
mean, it's an intuition, but I really think that it's really important to understand what is going on and
Well,
what
yeah, but
all
you
the
can't,
time.
but yeah, and you can't
Yeah,
guess at it, Hannah. You have
yeah.
to, and people say, well,
It's not about guessing game, really. Yeah,
well,
exactly.
listen, if you're a
Hmm.
if you're a ER nurse,
Hmm.
you work in a psych ward,
Hmm.
you are a cop,
Hmm.
military intel officer, fine. You don't need the book. But that's not a big group of people.
Hmm.
Most people need to read this, and it's going to be tough. It's going to be a hard read
Hmm.
because the first couple of chapters are not pleasant, and you have to tough through it. And I've had people. I get emails probably every other day, or comments, DMs. Oh, this was rough. I said, good. I did my job. They go, yeah, this was really difficult
Yeah, it was
because,
really juicy.
well, but it's not meant to be I'm not writing a Harry Potter novel.
Yeah,
It's
that's,
I wrote a book that's about, you
yeah,
know, bad
probably
behavior.
probably I like your book
Well, thank
a
you.
lot. Yeah.
I mean, the first page about the murder of that student in Lehigh. It's
Yes.
rough, but the whole point of that story is what everybody failed this woman,
Hmm.
her the administrators at the university, the friends of the murderer.
Hmm.
Everybody knew this kid was a mess and he was going to kill somebody, but nobody said anything. Well, they're responsible.
Hmm.
Now, I bet you if I interviewed them today, they'd say, "Oh no, I wasn't responsible. Nobody could predicted that." That I've read the case file. They all knew. If you're going to sit by and watch your nephew, your niece, your daughter fall apart with drugs and alcohol or any other bad behavior and you don't intervene, who are you complicit if they commit a crime? Of course. And all of this, and people say, well, some things are genetic. Really? I love that excuse. Well, it's all genetic. Really? Really? Show me the research. I'll read it. I've read all the genetic studies. I'm probably at about 700 really true genetic studies.
Hmm.
No, it's not.